Hey, Mark. So I thought I'd give you a quick Zeus up or a Flinch update today. I know you're going to be taking him home pretty soon, but I wanted to tell you where I'm at. So if you want to keep training on him, you'll kind of know where to pick up from. Or if you want to leave him with me, I'd love that. I'm really enjoying training with him, but I totally understand finances and everything else. Training's not cheap, and if you want to take him home, no worries at all. I think he's in a really good spot. So up to now, I did about 2 months of groundwork, which I think is about typical. At last colt I started from scratch. I think I did closer to 3 to 5 months of groundwork, but that was totally from scratch. And of course, he was already where you could tie him up, halter him around. He was a little more advanced than that. So 2 months of groundwork, but now he's basically done with the groundwork. I mean, I'm barely doing any groundwork at all when I catch him in the mornings. Just bringing him in here while I bring him in the barn, I saddle him, bringing him here and get on. So I'm using groundwork a little bit more for exercise for him, but as far as the groundwork for his mental state, he's really good. I feel like he's just ready to get on and ride every single day now. So that's what I'm doing. I'm jumping on and riding. And as far as the riding, I'm still at the stage where I'm just completely loose rein. I barely touch the reins at all. And I'm just asking him to go. And what I'm doing right now is trying to teach him that he should just cruise around the space that he's in without trying to be at any one point. So, like right now, I've got this hay bin over here, and there's hay in it. And he just, for some reason, really wants to congregate around there. Even though I'm not letting him eat from it, he just wants to stand at the hay bin. So what I'm doing is I'm asking him to go, and when he goes over to that spot that he wants to be in, I'm waving my legs more, making it a little bit more uncomfortable for him there. And then when he walks off from it, then I leave him alone. And he usually cruises around here just a little bit and beelines back to the hay thing. And so I wave my legs there, and then when he leaves, I leave him alone. And so the reason I'm doing that is so that I don't wear out my reins, because the last thing I want to be doing on a green horse that has no idea what this whole riding thing is about is to be pulling and kicking and trying to force him to go where I want him to go and making it a big deal and making it an experience that he doesn't want to be part of. I want to make it where he enjoys what we're doing. And so he gets to go where he wants to go, but there's more pressure. And then when he goes to where he doesn't necessarily want to be so much, say the other end of this pen, there's no pressure. And so it kind of balances it out. He gets what he wants, I get what I want. And when I do want to start pulling on the reins, which is the next phase of this, um, the reins work. So I've been doing a little bit of steering, and I've been doing a lot of lateral flexion, making sure he's nice and soft there. And I will talk about that for a second too. See how when I do that lateral flexion there, his head is staying relatively low. Now I could even use it maybe a little bit lower, but it took me a few days to get that, because when I would do this lateral flexion, he would tend to get very stiff in his neck. Right there is a good example. He did the lateral flexion and he went back to a low point with his head, meaning his neck was nice and soft. Before I would do that lateral flexion, and when he came back to straight, his head would go up and get stiff. So I've been working on that a lot. Now his lateral flexion is nice and soft, and when he comes back to center, his head at least doesn't go straight up in the air. So that's getting a lot better. I'll go ahead and demonstrate just walking around, so I'm able to kind of wave my legs. He walks off real nicely. Now you can see he's drifting over to this hay bin. But let's see if he goes. He's kind of thinking about it. He's thinking about not going over to it. Oh, he did. Okay. So now I wave my legs. But very easily he leaves from it. Excellent. Now we're just cruising around. Now there's no pressure. Good. Now he also kind of wants to get stuck in this corner. The very first day I rode, this was the corner he wanted to get stuck in all the time. So I'm going to wave my legs a little bit over here, and now we're cruising out here. Now he stops. I'm just going to ask him to walk forward again. There. Now we're going the direction I want to go, and I'm not having to kick him a whole bunch. So he's getting left alone, and we're going where I want to go. Everybody gets what we want. And that's how we make this a good experience for him, where he enjoys having somebody ride him you know, instead of being scared about it or disliking it, and that's how we avoid bucking and all the other things. So you notice I haven't pulled on his face once, so we haven't worn out the reins. If he got too fast and I needed to bend him around to a stop, I'm sure it'd be very easy because of all the lateral flexion I've done, and I haven't been wearing that out this whole time. Now you can see he's super avoiding this fence line over here. And so I'm pretty much going to do this exercise here where I don't pull on the reins at all. until this pen is balanced up to where he's equally happy being along all of these fences. And that may take a while. You can see here he's getting a little bit tense. Good. He put his head back down. He's just walking out. Good. Nice. That's about the lowest his head has been. Now let's see if he. Oh, good. So he thought about going to the hay, but he chose not to. And then he thinks, oh, maybe going to the hay would be a good idea. So I take him up a little bit. And he's like, nope, I think I want to go back. I'm pretty sure I want to go back here. Okay, you can be here, but I'm going to be kicking on you. And then he's got to figure out what to do about it. Don't let him eat. He's like, this doesn't make sense. I'm where I want to be, but I'm getting kicked on. Oh, now he leaves? Good. And now he didn't beeline over to that corner. Okay, he came back to the hay. That's all right. So I put some more pressure. And he leaves. Oh, but not quite. More pressure. 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 See, I could force him to leave right here with the reins, but that wouldn't be teaching him anything. That would just be forcing him to do what I want him to do. That would be using my reins and using up cues and stuff versus actually getting through to his brain that he just needs to do, change his mind about where he wants to be. When we get later on to where we're, on the range ride or riding out in the arena or riding in the mountains or whatever you want to do with him, you want him to kind of give up on where he wants to go and go where you want him to go. You don't want to have to be forcing him to go where you want him to go the entire time. And it all starts right here. And this is nice and safe because he's right where he wants to be. He's not going to bolt or run around or go anywhere because there's nowhere for him to go. This is where he most wants to be. So I'm just keeping on annoying him with my legs until he says, man, this sucks. I need to find there. He went somewhere different. But he came right back, so I went right back to annoying him. He's going to figure it out. Getting pretty annoyed, but that's okay. He's going to start looking for answers here. Okay, he turned away from the hay a little bit. Okay, I gave him a slight release right there when he turned away from the hay. There. Something. He came back to it, put the pressure back on. Not going to let him eat. There. Okay, came back to it. Again, it's got to be his decision. If I just force him to go somewhere, I'm not teaching him anything. It's got to be his decision to leave that hay. There. He turned away from it that time. I know it wasn't much, but you can see he's looking over this direction. His mind is now away from that hay, and so he's getting a little bit of reward right here. And we'll just build and build on that. I'm going to squeeze him up and just ask for one step forward and see if it's back to the hay or if it's away from it. Good. I'll take that. Picking up some flies here. Anyway, so I think that's a pretty good explanation of, I just noticed the camera's turned. I hope you could see what I was working on over here. Anyway, I think that's a pretty good explanation of kind of where he's up to right now. If you did want to leave him in training with me, or if, I'll just talk as if he was my horse, just to kind of take you through what I would be doing next. So we would finish this exercise as many days as it takes until he can cruise around this pen and I don't have to use the reins at all, and it's just the pen is balanced up. Then we would do the same thing at a trot, and ideally we'd do the same thing at a lope. At the same time, I would start using the reins a little bit more, and I would be doing what I call left-right exercise. So if he just kind of veers off to the left, I would steer him to the right. If he veers off to the right, I would steer him to the left. And that's going to get him nice and straight. So where he just walks in a straight line until I tell him to turn. And what we'll do then is if he walks straight across the pen and hits the fence, I let him stop and rest. If we walk across the pen and he veers off, then of course I steer him the other way. And then he veers off that way, steer him the other way. We do that until he can walk a nice straight line. And that just gets him to where everything's balanced up. You can ask them to walk forward and they just walk straight. You don't have to worry about them trying to go anywhere else because we've taught them not to be where they want to be and we've taught them not to veer off left and right and they just are straight. And that's really the foundation of everything. So when we can get that, ideally at a walk, trot, lope, then we have a nice foundation to do anything else we want to do. The other thing I would want to start doing on him pretty soon, once we get some basic body control, is starting to work with the flag, the cutting flag. I've been pretty impressed with him in the groundwork with his athleticism and the way he does his turns. I think he naturally turns on his hind end pretty well, and I would love to see him starting to work cows, doing some cutting. Um, I don't have cows here, but I have the flag that simulates a cow, and so I could start to teach him to do those cow turns. And then my trainer has buffalo down the street that we cut on all the time, so I could take him down there and start having him cut on cattle, and I would really enjoy that. I mean, he's probably a month out from starting that, but before we did that, we would need to have more of this down. And then the other body control part I would be starting to work on is individually training his face, his shoulders, and his hips. So his face is already pretty good. I can do lateral flexion both directions. Next is going to be training his shoulders, and that means being able to push his shoulders to the right or to the left, regardless of which way his head is turned. So kind of disconnecting his shoulders from his face. And then the last piece of that is controlling his hips, trying to be able to push his hips to the left or right independently of his shoulders and of his face. So we're getting all three of those body parts working independently. If I get all those three of those body parts working independently, and I get him where he travels in a straight line in a relaxed manner with a nice soft neck at a walk, trot, and lope, I can pretty much do just about anything that needs to be done on a horse at that point. We can change leads at that point because changing leads is just about moving the shoulders and hips around. We can cut cows because that's about moving the shoulders and hips around. We can ride nice and collected because that's about controlling the face and shoulders and elevating the shoulders. We can do sliding stops like they do in reining because that's about lifting the shoulders and controlling the hind end. Um, that's really everything. And I'd say he's probably 5, 6 months of solid riding away from being able to do all those things. Um, but anyway, it's exciting. He's at a good point right now because, like I said, the groundwork's good. Now it's just riding every single day. So I'll leave the camera running here a little bit, and I'll go ahead and walk him around a little bit more. Good. Now I asked him to walk forward there, and he chose to walk away from the hay. So I'm going to probably wait here for a lick and a chew because this is the farthest this direction in the pen he's been at all. And so I'm not going to push him here because he walked over here willingly. If I push him, he's probably just going to make a U-turn and beeline back to where he's comfortable. And I really want him to be comfortable over here. So I'm going to give him some rest time over here, which is as far away from his comfort zone as he's been today. And it might take him a little while to lick and chew here. I think I'm off camera, so I might go ahead and bring him back into the camera field of view. So I asked him to walk there. He turned back towards the hay. Oh, yeah, he is going to stop at the hay. Okay. So we just keep working this. And this might be the spot that we work today. This might be the thing that has to get through to his brain. That hanging out at this hay is not going to give you any relief from getting fed. Good. Now he eagerly walks away. He's probably going to beeline back to it. That's okay. Oh, he kind of went past it. Didn't actually quite stop it. I'm going to go and ask him to walk here, though. And he's thinking about it. And he turned back to it. So there's going to be some pressure here. There. Left it. Good. I would say this is probably the first day I've really been able to. I like that right there. I'm going to go ahead and not be done, but let him stop right there. I would say this is the first day I've really been able to use going forward, kicking and going. That's been so solid that I've been able to use that to then start to teach his brain about what I call destination addiction. So that's what's happening right now. He's addicted to the destination of standing at that hay over there. For whatever reason, I don't know if he just wants to eat or if he's just comfortable over there. But something in his brain says that's the comfortable place to be. Um, and I'm teaching him. Now, he walked off there on his own. He's going to the hay on his own. So I'm going to really get after him here with my legs. Say, this is not the place to be. This is not the place to be. Like I say, this is really the first day I've been able to start actually working on his brain while under saddle. Now, this is cool right here. So I don't know if the camera can see it, but he walked all the way over to this fence line. This is the very first time under saddle we've ever walked over to this fence line to this, what I would call scary end of the arena. I love that. I'm going to let him rest over here. So he's really starting to look for answers. He's starting to say, okay, well, being over there didn't work. Maybe I'll try something else. Love it. All right, I'm going to very softly just ask him to walk off here and we'll just see where he goes. Good. That was probably also the softest ask to walk that I've ever been able to do on him, and he got off it. No spur whatsoever, just barely like, if this is my calf and this is the side of his body, it was like that, and he walked off of it. Do that again. Perfect. I love that. He's walking nice and smooth. He's kind of beelining back to the hay, but it's okay. Now when we get here, have a little bit more kicking. It's not really working out very good for him. He's got to figure out what to do about it. There, he chose to leave, but he's coming back, so we start kicking again. Choosing to leave. Good. There, he committed to walking away from the hay. Now, let's see what he does. I'm going to ask him to walk very softly. He chooses to go back to the hay. Start kicking him again. And what this is doing at the same time, good, I like that. He chose to turn, kind of, he's thinking about eating this hay. Okay, what this is doing at the same time is getting him very, I don't want to say desensitized to my legs, because he is very sensitized to my legs. When I ask him to walk, he's going. Like over there, I was able to just squeeze and have him move off. But he's getting desensitized from a fear point of view to my legs and to my spurs. There's no, like jumping away from it when I touch him with that leg or spur. And that's one of the reasons I really like working on this destination addiction thing first, is because they end up working a lot on the things I need to work on, which is just pushing them off my leg at the place where they want to be. And so there's no, it doesn't get dramatic. Okay, he chooses to turn back to the hay. Kick him as he comes past here, and then let's see where he goes. Cool. He chooses to cruise. No pressure. Good. He didn't choose to go back to the hay. I know he stopped walking, but he didn't choose to go back to the hay. And now look how low his head goes. He's looking and chewing. Beautiful. That was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and jump off and stop the video, but I'm going to get right back on. I'm going to do the same thing about one or two more times and just lock that into his brain. That's exactly what I want. That head down, licking and chewing, calm, relaxed horse somewhere other than where he wants to be. And I know it's just 10 feet away, but that's where it all starts. We go from 10 feet to 10 miles into the backcountry. It's all the same thing. Licking and chewing, beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and jump off here. So this is actually his reward. His biggest reward right here is me getting off his dang back, right? Love it. Now, is he standing there? Perfect. And that's what I want. I don't really teach my horses to ground tie per se. You notice I didn't put the reins on the ground because I don't want them to step on them and break them. But I do teach them just to be so comfortable and confident in where they are, they don't feel the need to walk off. So if you're up in the high country and you need to step off and leave your horse for a second and then come back to it, he'll probably still be there. He's still watching me. I love it. All right, I'm gonna kill the camera and then I'll get back to training.